The air shimmers, sunlight becomes a malevolent force. India, once a land of vibrant seasons, now faces a terrifying new reality, temperatures soaring above 50 degrees Celsius. This is not just heat, it is an inferno, an elemental fury unleashed by our own actions. The land bakes, rivers dwindle, and cities become furnaces. This is the future we were warned about. Here now, an existential threat looming over one of the world's most populous nations. In concrete jungles and rural heartlands, life itself becomes a struggle for survival. The elderly, the very young, and those who labor outdoors face the worst. Heat stroke, once a danger confined to the hottest months, becomes a constant menace. Hospitals overflow, their resources stretched thin. The very air we breathe transforms into a suffocating blanket, heavy with dust and despair. The consequences extend far beyond immediate suffering. The human body, a marvel of adaptation, has its limits. When temperatures soar above 50 degrees Celsius, those limits are breached, with devastating consequences. The delicate balance of electrolytes is disrupted, leading to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and even death. Organs fail as the body struggles to cope with the relentless heat. Hospitals, already burdened by a growing population, are overwhelmed. Emergency rooms overflow with patients suffering from heat-related illnesses. Doctors and nurses work tirelessly, but the sheer number of cases is daunting. The healthcare system, already grappling with inequalities, is pushed to the brink of collapse. The most vulnerable among us bear the brunt of this crisis. The elderly, with their weakened immune systems, are particularly susceptible to heat stroke. Children, their bodies still developing, are at high risk of dehydration and heat-related illnesses. Outdoor workers, toiling under the scorching sun, face the constant threat of heat exhaustion. The human cost of this heat apocalypse is immeasurable. India's agricultural heartland, once a tapestry of emerald green and golden yellow, now bears the scars of the scorching sun. Fields once teeming with life stand barren and cracked, the crops withered and brown. The relentless heat scorches the earth, baking it dry and making it impossible for seeds to germinate. Farmers, the backbone of the Indian economy, watch in despair as their livelihoods crumble before their eyes. Generations of traditional knowledge prove futile against the onslaught of extreme heat. The monsoon, once a lifeline bringing much-needed rain, becomes erratic and unpredictable, further exacerbating the crisis. The consequences of agricultural decline are dire. Food prices skyrocket as supply dwindles, hitting the poorest the hardest. Malnutrition rates soar, particularly among children, as access to essential nutrients becomes increasingly limited. The specter of famine, once a distant memory, looms large over the nation. The relentless heat does not discriminate between rural and urban landscapes. Cities, once symbols of progress and modernity, transform into islands of concrete and steel baking under the merciless sun. Infrastructure crumbles under the strain as roads buckle, power grids overload, and water supplies dwindle. Transportation systems buckle as railway lines warp and asphalt melts. Blackouts become increasingly common as the demand for electricity to power air conditioners overwhelms the grid. Water shortages reach critical levels as reservoirs dry up and pipelines burst under the pressure. The urban poor, living in cramped and poorly ventilated slums, bear the brunt of the crisis. Their homes, often lacking proper ventilation and access to clean water, become ovens, trapping the heat and making life unbearable. The social fabric of cities, already strained by inequality and overcrowding, begins to fray. The consequences of a 50 degrees Celsius India extend far beyond immediate suffering. They threaten to unravel the very fabric of society. Economic losses from declining agricultural yields, crippled infrastructure, and reduced productivity are staggering. The World Bank estimates that India stands to lose 8% of its GDP by 2100 due to climate change, a figure that could be even higher if temperatures continue to rise at their current pace. Social unrest simmers as people desperate for relief from the oppressive heat and dwindling resources clash with authorities. Mass migration from rural areas to already overcrowded cities exacerbates existing social tensions. The gap between the haves and the have-nots widens, fueling resentment and instability. The very idea of India as a rising economic power is called into question as the nation grapples with the existential threat of a warming planet. The dreams and aspirations of 1 billion people are held hostage by our collective failure to act on climate change. The situation is dire, but not beyond hope. Urgent, decisive action can mitigate the worst impacts of a 50°C India and chart a more sustainable path forward. This requires a multi-pronged approach, addressing both immediate needs and long-term solutions. Heat action plans involving early warning systems, cooling centers, and public awareness campaigns are crucial for saving lives during extreme heat waves. Investing in climate-resilient infrastructure, such as heat-resistant roads and buildings, is essential for ensuring long-term sustainability. Transitioning to sustainable agricultural practices, such as drought-resistant crops and water conservation techniques, is vital for ensuring food security. Empowering communities to adapt to changing climatic conditions through education and access to resources is paramount. The time for complacency is long gone. The future of India, and indeed the world, hangs in the balance. We must act now with urgency and determination to avert the worst-case scenarios and build a more sustainable and equitable future for all.